Because yeah, that was one of the things too. When we spoke about this last episode, we were seeing some comments in our section of the live. They were talking about, well, you guys are coming down on the conscious guys, but these dope dealer rappers that y'all glorify, they have destroyed our communities, and drugs have destroyed black communities, and that's not good for us either. And it's been more detrimental. I think that was what the sentiments were. I'm paraphrasing. Um,
These are
what? Go
very
ahead.
loaded things that people are saying. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't want to
No,
interrupt you.
no.
Go
I
ahead.
was I was gonna ask you what you thought. You were right.
I think that there's some very loaded things being posed. First of all, I think it's dangerous to come on here and call us politically ignorant, or to think that we have political affiliations that skew one way or the other. Um, I personally, I personally know that Mike has taken probably issue with Obama's tenure as president in this nation more than any black man that I know, but is also taking issue with Trump's presidency on an even higher level than that. That doesn't make him like Republican or Democrat. That just makes him aware to actually what's going on. So to call him ignorant is insulting. It is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think
And
the more
so,
you know and the more you talk about and the more
right.
that you
You
expose,
can't be
then
afraid
it's
yet.
easy because it's easy to just say that. Just if why don't you just get in the comment section and tell me where I'm wrong? If what I said was so politically ignorant, you should be able to break down where the ignorance is, what I said incorrectly, and correct that.
Like ignorant and hate are strong words. I want people to
Right.
understand that. Like I'm a writer at heart. I've been a writer since I was a little kid. So it's like for me, words do matter. Words are powerful. And so when you're using words like ignorant and hate, I just want to start like people to understand. It's like I don't have a problem with anybody coming in here and disagreeing with things that Mike and I say, but it's just like be careful with like some of the rhetoric. The ignorant thing kind of bothered me because I think that was kind of just passing you off as some angry black man, and those are the types of tropes and archetypes that I don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the type of thing that actually makes me angry. You know?
Yeah.
So I just want to be careful about that. As far as like the common thing specifically with the Asada thing, I think what we're posing is really that, well, in a culture where, and I'm talking hip hop and black culture, where your credibility matters, where your what? Word is your what?
Word is
Bond.
bond. Keep it real, right? This is all we
These
talk
things,
about.
right. So I'll tell you something. So I'm from the west side of Charlotte, Mike. I'm from, my family's from West Boulevard. I've told people my family been on West Boulevard before West Boulevard was even considered West Boulevard like that. You feel me? So I'm from there, from there. I came up on Beatty's Ford. My first job was on Freedom Drive in Tuckasegee by Freedom Mall. West Side. That's the hood, Mike. I don't have any sort of type of reputation on the West Side as a gangster. Okay? I have the reputation as being the rapper and the hip hop guy. I always was, even when I was 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Even if somebody had a question about some rap stuff back then in the hood, Mike, I was the guy. My cousin, who ended up being my producer, was the first guy on West Boulevard to go buy a beat machine. He bought it from a pawn shop on Freedom Drive, right up the street from where I worked, right up the street from Apple Auto. My cousin was the best MC in the neighborhood and was the first one with a beat machine, so everybody wanted to come see him. I was the nerdy little rap historian. I didn't start rapping until after all of those dudes made it a thing in the neighborhood. That's my reputation. There's not a fucking problem with my reputation. Like people have this thing of thinking that when you come from the hood that it's like you have to be like this guy. It's like no. You got to be your fucking self to get respect and to get credibility.
No, that's real.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Like that's what the hood is about. You don't. Everybody's not like I hate when I hear rappers that, and since we're talking about the drug thing, that make it seem like that they was like the kingpin on their block. I only knew a couple dudes on West Boulevard that it was like, no, you don't fuck with them niggas, they'll shoot you, they'll kill you right now, that's regular for sure. There's only a couple dudes like that, Mike.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Like everybody wasn't like that. Now a lot of people's down to ill, a lot of people got shot, a lot of things happened. You feel what I'm saying? But as far as like that high level stuff that you be hearing talk, well, it's not like that. But it also goes down to like these conscious brothers too, that me making it seem like they more conscious than they really are. It's like, no, nigga, like you was drinking and smoking weed and like you was just chilling with my man that was chopping crack up in the basement, like I was, like with your conscious ass. You feel me? Like
Right.
a lot of those dudes come from those circumstances too. So when they be talking conscious, it's like, well, what hood you from? You feel me? Because it's like you was right there when a lot of this dirt and a lot of these nefarious drug dealing things were getting done. Because I know I was, Mike. I know I was. I could tell you all kind of shit.
Let me get to some of these super
I never
chats.
sold crack in my life. And I've been, and Mike, and we're going to talk about this too, because I'm beyond the statute of limitation. I want to talk about what it means to be a dealer, because it's like, well, Mike, I've been a dealer, but I mostly serve white people. Does that mean it's okay? Because I didn't hurt my community when I served. Does that mean it was okay for me to sell drugs? Let's talk about this shit. Because they can't come get my ass now. Lord knows they done tapped the fucking phone, the fucking bar, put me in jail, had me hire a fucking lawyer. You feel me?
Right.
So it's like a dealer's a fucking dealer too at the end of the day. Me selling to white people don't make the shit okay. I got people that I had strung out, Mike. That shit ain't okay because they white.
Let me get to the super chats real quick. And you're right, 100%. Southside says, which album has the best intro? That could be a topic for another day. Yeah, we can do that another day. I think off the top of my head, I'm going with The Dynasty, which is not really one of my favorite albums, but the intro is one of the greatest intros ever. I would say either that or East 1999's intro.
1999 intro.
It's yeah, that's a great intro. All right, what I was gonna say is
some loaded stuff to talk about. It's loaded. Like people got to be careful about what they talking about.
No, you're right. It's loaded. I think that from a moral standpoint, right?
Right.
When you put yourself in position where you're hurting people and breaking families apart, you know, those are things that you and, you know, your God have to deal with, right? But at the same time, I think it's another thing when it's amplified and glorified. And I told you offline, you know, Pusha T is one of my favorite rappers. You know, we share a birthday and all of that, but I didn't like him having the drug props on the stage. I didn't like that. I thought that was unnecessary, you know, and that's just my humble opinion. You know, I think that it's in the music. It is what it is. You're telling your story in the music, but to make it an actual physical backdrop. And you've said too, and I know that this was Kanye's idea, even for Daytona. As much as we love the album, we so don't agree with that album cover.
I literally docked it classic perfect rating status because I'm like, well, we shouldn't be going there with that. Yeah. Because I come from a family where it's like, well, the game is to be sold, not to be told. Even like the shit that I'm sharing with you now, it's like, oh no, I'm about to hear about this shit.
I mean, but see, and the thing is, man, like from what I understand at the time when Bobby Brown was saying what he was saying, like the family wasn't cool with this. And it wasn't anything flattering either. And Whitney's no longer with us. Like, I think that at some point we have to, even though our legends may have their issues, and especially with a drug personal struggle and things like that, I don't think that they should be capitalized on in that sense. You know what I mean? Like that right there, I don't want to say glorifying, but yeah, it was for shock value, but it wasn't even one of your loved ones. You know, that like I think that's insensitive in that light, and I think that
yes,
it's kind of a correlation of that whole thing with the dope on the stage. Like I don't know, man. I think
you're right. You're right. It's so there's an integrity that kind of comes with it. Like, well. You know, we've lived down here, Mike. So it's like Bobby and Whitney lived down here. Well, it's like, well, I've seen Bobby and Whitney live and in person once. And so it's like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like when you see it live, but that's what I mean about how the game is to be sold, not to be told. That's like one of them stories that I tell when I'm in a circle of friends and it's late and the company, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, it should be told as a cautionary tale, honestly. You know what I'm saying? We know how this story ends. It shouldn't be told in the sense of like, you know what I'm saying, big and bad type thing. Do we
No,
even
I mean,
really need dope boy rap and hip hop in that sense if it's not going to give a balanced take?
my story specifically is has to deal with like don't don't fuck with Whitney skinny ass. She will still whoop that ass. You feel what I'm saying? Like that's what I mean. It's like everybody got different stories because it's like when you're going through things and you're under pressure and you're in the limelight, you respond certain ways in a situation. You know, I saw a situation where they were under the influence, obviously. You know what I'm saying? And he
Yeah.
responded real calm. She didn't respond in kind. You know what I'm saying? But it's like that's the types of things that it's like, well, that should make no album cover though.
No, it shouldn't. Jay Short with the super chat says, "At least we not forgot. At least we not forgot. Women love the conscious image. Lots of dudes running game on the conscious tip. Remember, and had skits about it on like Water for Chocolate. He did have skits about that, you know. And it's kind of tongue in cheek in a sense, but we thought Common was playing. But you know, it's funny,
No.
man. And again, I know people think I get on this podcast and praise Kanye so much. Kanye's one of those guys, like, if you listen to All Falls Down, he told you what he was going to do if he blew up. You know what I mean? I respect that. Whether you agree with a person or not, if they sit here and be honest with you and be straight up, there's no surprises there. And even in their discretion, they'll go back and address it. Those are things that, you know, some of the people that we're talking about right now just don't do.
So I'm gonna say this very carefully because it's the first time I can like the pastor of the church that I attend is from Detroit. I like him. My family's from Youngstown.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way he talks. He talks real. He talks the way my father talks. He talks the way the men in my family talk. Even though he's a pastor, I can hear where he's really from inherently. I know when he's talking about his experiences growing up. Oh, I know what he's talking about. My father has shared some of those experiences. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that he just recently spoke about, and I only bring this up in references because this is the only church that I've ever really attended as a grown man, is about how there are men in the church that use their status as church-going men and as deacons and as us to game women.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was just in church listening to this. So that's what I'm saying about it. Is like, well, you know, you looking at the dude that's selling dope. It's like, well, you know what I mean? It's all about what you pushing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. Everybody pushing something.
Everybody pushing something.
You know, Ryan Gillum with the super chat says, "How do y'all
pushing to?"
Pushing P. Ryan Gillum with the super chat says, "How y'all feel about T Wolves giving up Pat Bev for Rudy Gobert? Was that the trade?" Jesus
I saw
Christ.
they got more than
I was gonna say it could have been a straight up trade.
It came across my screen like briefly. They got some assets. It wasn't just like
I don't want to comment on free agency until all of it's done. All of this stuff is just, you know.
I mean, the Celtics got Brogdon, which I think is a pretty big deal because getting Brogdon and keeping Marcus Smart enables them to run a type of lineup where they can have Robert Williams at the 5 and run Brogdon, Smart, Tatum, and Brown. And defensively, that's very, very difficult for a Golden State-ish type of team that they feel like they may have to see again with better playmaking and better shooting. So I can see that the Utah Jazz gave up. So Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns are going to be playing together. People should think about that.
Right.
Because Kevin Durant. People should think about that because Kevin Durant's up in the air right now.
Mad Max says, LOL, sidebar, everybody put 100 on the Sixers to win the chip. They getting KD.
I've thought about that too because I think they have the assets to give up pick-wise and player-wise. And if you give me Embiid and Durant, I don't care who else you have. I don't think you can. Because Embiid's in his prime, and Durant's at the end of his prime.
I was about to say something really bad, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
But the Timberwolves are sitting Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly, Jared Vanderbilt, Leandre Baltimore, number 22 pick Walker Kessler, and 4 first-round picks to the Jazz. So the Jazz are getting first 4-round picks for Rudy Gobert. I think Minnesota knows something that we don't because you wouldn't give all of that up to get Rudy Gobert unless you were getting something else. Who else do they have?
Right.
Oh, I guess they already have, what's his name? Young boy from Georgia, Edwards.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
Edwards
Russell?
been balling. Yeah.
It's not bad, Mike.
It's not bad. I like
Neither is the Brogdon deal. I like both of these deals.
Topping that with the super chat. Shout out to Australia out there. He said, "How does authenticity affect Ross? Can he even have a classic album when his background don't match up his lyrics? Ross is dope, and I ain't hating." See, this is the thing with Ross, and I'm glad you brought up Ross because he kind of skates through these conversations. I think
so.
Ross is a product of just being one of the first guys from the old guard to run into the internet head on. You know what I mean? Like the rest of these guys have a similar story, but everybody piles in on Ross because he came in doing things the traditional way and thought that, nobody's going to find out that, I really was a correctional officer. And then they did.
Hold on, first of all, what if he was an informant?
What do you mean?
And I don't mean for the police.
Yeah. But I'm saying he didn't say that, but again, you wouldn't say that.
Hold on, listen to what I'm about to tell you. This is what I'm saying is that, so I was one of those people, well, I didn't like that when I heard that. You know what I'm saying? But then I thought about it deeper. I thought about some things that I know, and I'm like, well, you need people like that on the other side too.
Well, this is the thing, Coop.
No.
Why in the world are we even?
No, that's real. People, no.
No, I feel you, but why are we chastising a man for having a regular job? Regardless. You know what I'm saying?
Let's address it on the hip-hop side of the credibility, though.
Yeah.
People don't understand that, no, these are the games we play. And so sometimes what you have to do to earn your stripes, you feel what I'm saying? This is part of it.
What does it say about us, though, as a hip-hop community, that we expect our artists to be drug kingpins? You know what I'm saying? Like, even if he did say, you know what, I had a job, whatever, how does he get, you know what I'm saying? Like,
what I'm trying to tell you is that, like, I actually believed he hustled a little bit more after that came out. Because I'm like, no. Because, I mean, if you know anything about the area that he's from and how it works and some of the guys that have ran through there, and it's like, no, that's actually how you can come up and, like, start earning your stripes and earning your keep. I always tell people about that Godfather scene where he's talking about, like, well, I wanted Michael to have the strings, like, politically. Like the guys who are gangsters and dealers don't really pull the strings.
I understand what you're saying, Coop, but I think the problem with the public and what happened, and it was just how it happened because he lied about it. You know what I mean? Like he didn't.
Did he lie or he just didn't tell?
No, he lied. He said no, that wasn't him. Because what happened? This was back.
He did lie.
This is back in the media takeout days, right? So they had a picture of him as an officer, right? And he was like, "That's not me. That's Photoshop." That's what he said. And then they went and found, and then they went and found his actual like W-2s or paycheck stubs and stuff. And I think that's the part that people are having an issue with. And then it came out that he was saying that, he barely did the job, wasn't really there. And then they found a certificate of perfect attendance or something. That's the part that people are giving him shit for.
So the
if he would have just said, you know what, yeah, I was a correctional officer.
So the problem isn't that he had the job. The problem is that he lied.
Yeah.
Okay, so the problem's not the job then.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But the job made him lie, if that makes any sense.
Now, the job did make him lie, but this is hip-hop.
No, I mean, yeah.
I'm not going to knock him for that, though, because it's like I would probably lie in that circumstance, too.
Most people, but see, the thing is, like I said,
as a human being, I'll just be honest with you. It's like, no, I can't tell you in that circumstance, under that type of pressure, in this type of community where the streets matter so much, I cannot tell you that I would not lie.
But that's what I'm saying. I think he's somebody that just got caught early because many people before him probably did lie. And he was like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
I mean, so this is what I'm saying. So it's like, well, I never, like, this is what I'm trying to tell you. When I'm saying this, is like, well, how do you want your gangsters? It's like, well, am I less of a gangster because I never sold drugs in my project-riddled, drug-riddled community? You feel what I'm saying?
That's the problematic part.
Am I less gangster now? Am I less gangster because I didn't do it on the west side of Charlotte? Like, I mean, just let me know.
I want to get to the super chat because it's another good point. He said, how about rappers like John Forte who didn't rap about it but lived it? Yeah, and
you can add
Loon to the list.
He got caught with the whole thing at the airport.
You can add Loon to the list too. Like, you know what I'm saying? They didn't rap about that stuff.
Loon was pretty boy style.
Yeah, and Loon was, you know what I'm saying?
Out here
Loon,
getting it. He
yeah.
Harlem. He uptown. Right.
So
He
yeah.
uptown getting it.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the issue that people had, and I think that, Ross made a honest misstep because again, he's a signed artist in hip hop, and he's been around the game, and he understands that probably a lot of people he knows had similar backgrounds, and they were able to just say, "Nah, I didn't do that," but they didn't have the internet to catch them, and I think that he just ended up getting caught, and now he's the poster child for not keeping it real in that sense, when he's probably not the only one.
See, this is what I mean. So this is what's so problem on the drug dealing side. It's like, well, if you were to run back in my neighborhood and they'd be like, yo, did this nigga Coop ever move any packs down here? They'd be like, no. It's like, but I didn't know. But that don't mean it never happened. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, so what does credibility really look like in this business? And like, where does the credibility come from? And why does it matter so much in this manner?
And why does it matter so much? And what happens when you end up like Young Thug and Gunna and nobody's by your side?
Very problematic.
You know what I mean? Like, is that where y'all want people to be?
That's what I'm saying. It's very problematic. I was having a conversation about that. How about this? I was having a conversation when a homie of mine from Detroit, I know a lot of Detroit people.
I love Detroit.
Me too.
Shout out to Detroit.
A lot of Detroit people down here in the A. I got a lot of Detroit people down here. I'm with him. I'm with his mans who's from Jersey City. They're like, Coop, these niggas down here where you're from be talking about the trenches. It's like, ain't no trench down here, Coop. and I'm like, well, what's a trench? Because I'm about to bring up some stuff that I know has happened on like West Boulevard, baby, like stuff that I've seen and lived through. I'm like, well, hold on, what you calling a trench? And they like, no, like, well, nigga, every day you don't know if you're gonna make it home safely. You know what I'm saying? Like, because of gang territory, or because of like the shit that's going on, or because of how truly impoverished the area is, where it's like, well, no, nigga, you can't have a $20 watch that look nice and not have your pistol on me, because niggas will take you for that too, because they need that right there. You feel me?
It's sad.
And so, talking to two dudes, I'm sitting in their presence. One of them's a dear, dear friend of mine, where that's the world that they come from, of like, going to school is very problematic. Trying to get an education. This is why. So what people don't understand is that we have a whole set of communities throughout America where it's like, well, it's hard to make it to and from school, Mike. I'm not joking when I say that. It is literally easier for you to get cool with the dealers in your neighborhood and move packs for them, whether it's through school or on the block, about your motherfucking safety and survival, than telling these niggas no. Like, in Chicago, Mike, they'll just murder you dead for no reason. They don't even need you to tell them no. They might just murder you anyway for that shit. You feel what I'm saying? I went through a situation when I was down here on the east side where, as a kid, where a friend of mine got murdered that was selling for the niggas that was like literally right up the street for us that he started selling for. He popped up with like the new Jays. He had the Hornets gear when the Hornets team wasn't even out yet and shit. Mm-hmm. I'm like, nigga, what you doing? He's like, he told me who he was selling for. I was like, oh, don't fuck with them. I was like, they'll fucking kill you. And my man popped up dead and shit. They came and asked me to serve for him. I was like, oh no, I had to get the fuck out of there, Mike. I was like laying low, like as a kid behind the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit is real.
Yeah.
Like where it's like, no, you getting recruited, and it's like, well, no, nigga, it'd be like, oh, that's that nigga, right? You need to have people behind you, Mike, to tell some of these niggas in some of these neighborhoods no, or you might be a dead motherfucker. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, what credibility look like to you when you got like a kid who's a straight A student that don't want to sell no dope, but he better take this dope to school for these dudes about his survival. Then he starts seeing the money he make, and he done made fucking $40,000 in high school by the time he's fucking 17 years old. You think you can get that nigga to go to college?
Right.
Nigga's not going to college.
Michael Williams at the Super Chat says, can you guys do a track versus track for the Black Album and Get Rich or Die Trying? I think TBA is better. The Black Album is better, and a conscious sense it seems to be the consensus seems to be Get Rich or Die Trying. Yeah, we could do that. I mean, I think Get Rich or Die Trying was just a moment, man. Andre Shashir with the Super Chat says, Ross didn't have to lie about being a CEO. He could have just made dope lyrics about it. And also, don't like that he tried to act like he's the real Rick Ross. That's the other problem, too. And
I mean,
and I think it kind
Real
of
Rick
turned
Ross is on
people.
his album shouting him out though, so it's
What
like you can.
album? Whoa! What album? Because they had issues.
They did, but they solved those issues, I believe.
Have they? Okay, I didn't hear about that. LP
I
with the
believe so.
super chat says it was both. All of the jobs, you was a CEO, and you said that you was doing it because you was a street boss. Because your street boss told you to. He thought that he was supposed to be what Departed. Oh, he thought he was supposed to be the Departed. Yeah, I mean, but again, if he would have just kept it real, people could have
So,
people could have just kind of came up with their own thing and like, yeah, I was the
so
CEO,
I think,
and
so,
what?
I, so I think here's what's really happened. Well, it's not that people have a problem with all of those things. It's that his talk is really inflated, like he's a boss. What does he call himself? The
Yeah,
boss.
yeah,
So it's really because the dope boy talk is inflated. Now there's two problems with you having a problem with that. Well, A, that's what people like. Because I'm gonna tell you what, Dr. Dre's done none of what he's talked about. And we're all totally okay with it. Because like he says on the show soundtrack, it's entertainment.
yeah.
So when Rick Ross does it, we can't knock Rick Ross for it and not knock Dr. Dre and plenty of others before
Plenty
who
of
ain't really
others.
done the stuff that they've talked about. Like Dr. Dre literally has a song on Straight Outta Compton talking about not smoking cess, and his first album is called The Chronic.
Yeah. Jay Short with the super chat says John Forte was so legit. Carly Simon had to bail him out.
Oh,
Are the keeping it
he
real
had
folks?
word.
I said, are the keeping it real folks buying his latest single?
Nope.
Right. Because when you end up in those situations,
He
and
gets staying alive in a 70s suit.
the only people who are capitalizing off of this are the lawyers. Hassan Sykes says it matters when you rap about being a kingpin. The real Noriega, he owes me 100 favors.
No, that's what I'm saying. So you're really taking issue with the talk being inflated, and I can understand that, and I can respect that because that's where I feel like the integrity of it's really being lost. So let me go back to Pusha T, and it's like, well, I've said this before, and people are like, well, Coop, why do you like Pusha T so much? It's like, well, I can give you the MC side of things about his cadence, his flow, his delivery, his lyrics, the songs they've made, the classic albums they've made.
Mm-hmm.
But hold on, no. These motherfuckers have really had the feds on them. So if you're looking for somebody who is actually like, he even said it in one of his rhymes, imagine being on a first name basis with the kingpin. That's why I respect him. He's letting you know, he's like, no, not the boss, but sitting at the motherfucking table. And other niggas haven't talked like that. They talk the way Rick Ross and Jeezy talk, quite frankly. And when I hear it, I just tell you, I hear the difference in Pusha, plus that he's more lyrically inclined. And then you see some of the things that have actually happened to the people around him. It's like, well, how much more proof or credibility or integrity do you want? But not everybody's like that. Let me go back to my life again. Like somebody put in the comments about it, it's like, well, Coop turned down a $150,000 deal. It's like, well, I was making money comparable to that. I didn't tell you that it was all legitimate.
Lil 20 says,
it's easier to say no
Nets?
to the 150 grand when I'm making another 50, 75. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck them.
Lil 20 says, are the Brooklyn Nets the biggest failure in NBA history?
No. Can we have this conversation right quick? Kevin Durant needs to win and win fast because he's part of two of the three biggest failures ever. That's the OKC Thunder and now the Brooklyn Nets. Two all-time potentially great teams that walked away with no hardware.
You know who the most valuable team in the NBA is?
Probably Golden State.
No, it's not. It's the New York Knicks.
It's very problematic.
No, it is what it is. They're playing a different game in ownership. Those are the championships that James Dolan and the New York Knicks are trying to get. And so it's funny when you got franchises like that, and also you got the Dallas Cowboys, who's the most valuable franchise in all of American sports. Actually, I think in the world. I think they're over a lot of the soccer franchises too, globally. They don't win championships. They're out here to win. Well, what's the point of business, right? Make money, right?
Right.
Why is it different for the players? If players want to go out there and max out, and get as much money as they possibly can while they're athletes and while they're playing, I'm not going to knock it. But for them, they're supposed to take pay cuts to win individual championships for organizations that are going to go out there and cash out and become more valuable, and they're not going to be the recipients of it. So I don't know, man. Whatever Kevin Durant feels like is best for him individually, get your paper, homie. That's all I'm gonna say. Get your money, because James Dolan, the New York Knicks, they ain't win shit. They not even playoff teams, and they're number one. It looks like he's winning. If we want to equate owners,
and
he's the number one owner.
The worst, and he is arguably the worst owner of the last 50 years, and maybe one of the worst owners in sports history. And his team is number one. And so
the Bulls are like number 4, and Michael Jordan ain't won nothing for them in 24 years.
I understand what you're saying. I'm a solutions-oriented guy. First of all, I've always told you this. Kevin Durant has played with 3 of the most selfish point guards of all time: Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving. Only one of those guys is warranted being selfish, and that's Steph, okay? So him leaving Golden State is going down has the most foolish decision that a superstar player ever made. Because I'll tell you what I realized the other day. You know, the Brooklyn year, the Milwaukee series thing, that happened the same year that Steph won the scoring title and they lost the play-in to the Grizzlies. If you put Kevin Durant on that team, Golden State actually is back-to-back champions right now. And Kevin Durant has 4 rings. Steph has 5 rings. And we're actually talking about where Kevin Durant is all-time in relationship to LeBron, because he has as many rings and is trending towards having as many points. So he's totally blown and missed an opportunity here. Let me tell you how you can fix this opportunity. First of all, next to Jerry West, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the fastest player to 25,000 points. So even though LeBron's about to break the scoring record, if Kevin Durant actually stays healthy another 4 or 5 years and plays full seasons, he actually can be in line to be somewhere in the range of breaking it. You know who could really help with that process? A real point guard. So wanting to go to Phoenix with Chris Paul is a wise idea. I think going to Phoenix extends Chris Paul's career, and it extends Kevin Durant's shelf life some in terms of the ease at which he gets shot. So I think that's where he should go. But what I think Brooklyn should take, and I think they can still win the championship like this too, because I heard Brooklyn wants 2 All-Stars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Los Angeles Clippers can give you Paul George, Reggie Jackson, and 3 first-round picks for Kevin Durant. What do you say? And then you have Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and John Wall, and an owner who doesn't mind spending fucking money. And you're in LA. What you say? Because I think Brooklyn should take that. If you give me Paul George, because think about it, because if Paul George and Reggie Jackson go there, well, Reggie Jackson gets to play the 2, and Paul gets to play the 3 because they got Ben Simmons.
Yeah, if he ever plays.
I mean,
I think that's why a lot of this is happening.
I mean, Ben Simmons as a passer was being compared to LeBron James and Magic Johnson and Penny Hardaway.
He got to get on the court.
Right, but if he has Reggie Jackson and Paul George as his 2 and his 3, and he's got Claxton and Curry and Joe Harris, like, no, that's a viable playoff team. It's like they're probably not going to beat Milwaukee or Boston, but they could beat anybody else with that team. And so if I'm Brooklyn, I would do that because you really don't miss much, and you have draft collateral for if those players age out or want to be traded themselves. So I would trade Paul George and Reggie Jackson and 3 first-round picks. But if I'm Kevin Durant, I want to get the Chris Paul and a real point guard who's going to give me the ball all the time as quick as possible, and a guy like Devin Booker who can go get 40 or 50 like me. That's not going to be the fucking problem that Russell Westbrook or Kyrie Irving is. And I also want to say, Mike, before I finish, I told y'all Kyrie was about to be a problem. I told y'all I've been following Kyrie since Kyrie was in high school. He didn't barely want to play for fucking Coach K at Duke. I want people to understand this. Kyrie Irving has only had success as an NBA player playing next to the second greatest player of all time. How much of the success of the NBA player are you? If you need the second greatest player of all time to succeed, we can't even give you a top 10 to 15 player and you thrive. You have to have a top 5 player for you to thrive. How great are you?
Let me get to these super chats real quick.
And one mixtape nigga. He's an and one mixtape nigga to me right now. Give me Dame. Give me Steph. Give me Harden.
Andre Shashir with the super chat says, never heard him shout out. He's talking about Rick Ross. Never heard him shout out the real Rick Ross. Find the album, Coop. Yeah, find the album. Jerron says, as Coop is expressing material conditions influencing music, we can't expect certain content, generally speaking, unless materials conditions change.
I didn't understand that. Say that again.
All right. As Coop is expressing, material conditions influence the music. We can't expect certain content, generally speaking, unless material conditions change. He's saying basically change comes from the top. And I was thinking that too when you were talking about these environments that people are in. And it's like, why are these environments like this in the first place? And again, that goes to my political ignorance and the people that I want to hold accountable for not putting things in place to better these communities. Because other communities, and we've seen many communities be able to get jump started very, very quickly. LP with the super chat says, Coop, the difference is Ross tried to make y'all think that he was really like that outside of music. Dre never made you think that was real life, that he was that in real life. I think it helps too that Dre had a ghostwriter too. You know what I mean? And so we kind of put everything as entertainment because we knew that Dre didn't really write the stuff. Jabaran says, also, until we're more self-determined as people. Jay Short with the super chat says, people hate Rick Ross because they want to be him. They want to say that they did the stuff that they can't do and get rich off of it. Half of the folks lie on their resumes too. This is true. I think the fact that Rick Ross has been successful at doing what he's doing pisses people off even more. LP with the super chat says, with Pusha, you can follow the ups and downs through the music, and the real world news matches that. Listen to TTCD, and you'll see the downfall. Yeah, I mean, you got to have a balanced attack with it. I think but even if we talk about that, I feel like Rick Ross did a little bit of that on Rich off cocaine. LP also says, Coop trimmed down to the casket drop to 8 songs, and it's a classic. You hear what they're doing on HHNF and Hell Have No Fury, and you see how it's getting broken and to the casket drop.
I mean, Till the Casket Drop just really suffers with some of the songs at the end, but that was more of a production thing with Pharrell, like the whole Counseling.
Yeah.
All Eyes on Me with Carrie Hilson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so actually, to be honest with you, if you take Counseling and Champion off and just make it 11 songs, it's a classic to me, because those are the only records on there.
DFW Herbie says, y'all saw James Dolan's Rock Band's music video? LOL. I want to get through these super chats so we can, move on. Damian Jones says, Benny said it best. And when they talk about the streets, it ain't specific. So I'm a tad bit suspicious if it ain't fact or fiction.
I told you, Mike, part of the reason why I respect Griselda is because it's like, well, no, I mean, like, you could actually go pull their rap sheet, actually. Like, they've all, like, done bids, served times. They have people who are still locked up. They've had people who have been, like, hit up. It's unfortunate, like, the circumstances that come with your credibility in this business sometimes comes with legitimate jail rap sheets and legitimate, like, death.
But is it worth all of that? And I'm going to say this, and I got my
I'm not saying it should have to be all of that. I told you, Mike, do you remember when I was telling you, I had a friend literally tell me, he was like, I can tell West Side was locked up more than Benny because of how he talks about the jail talk. It's real like that. You feel me? He's like, because he was bringing up West Side's line on Brutus, take my spot at the microwave. You gonna die tonight. He's like, Coop. He was like, he's like, actually, I'm sorry, not even jail talk, prison talk. He was telling me, he's like, Coop. He was like, that's that prison talk. That ain't that jail talk. And he's telling me because he knows that I've been to jail multiple times, but I've never been to prison. He's like, Coop, that's that prison talk.
LP with the super chat says, K so toxic. He talking about Kyrie. Kyrie's so toxic, they rather lose KD than keep them both. What I was going to say, man, I mean, I got my hat cocked to the side in honor of, T.I., and we're going to talk about T.I.'s top 5 albums ever. But he was one of those guys that never approached it, from a quote unquote kingpin standpoint. It was like, I did this, that, here and there, whatever, whatever. But I do feel like that credibility and maintaining certain credibility is what kept him behind in the industry, because he kept getting in and out of trouble that was unnecessary at that point. You know what I mean? Am I off base with that?
No.
A lot of the stuff that he ended up getting into once he was already a star or on roads to being a star was unnecessary, and it held his career back, especially after King, man. Like, after King, I think we can honestly say, for a Southern artist at the time, because this is before Wayne was super big, when he dropped King and that movie ATL came out and they both were number one, nobody in the South had ever done that in hip hop. Period. That was a superstar move. And him having to do A Year and a Day and everything that came with that individual case that, just kind of residual over with the public, it set him back.
I think what really happened is that when he was going in, Wayne was calling himself the best rapper alive. By the time he got out, it had happened.
Yep.
That's what happened, because he was actually ahead of Wayne in that race.
He was.
And he was the guy that was getting the deals and the notoriety and the stardom. And they were getting mutual spots, but it was like he was ahead of the race, and then he got locked up. And I tell people, it's like, oh, that's one of the worst things that ever happened.
Because at the time, he was more marketable than Wayne, too, because you could throw him on an R&B record. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's in films, man.
No. I hate to say it here, but here we go with these. Well, he didn't have dreads or as many tattoos. He
didn't have any tattoos.
I'm about to say he actually didn't have either.
Like he said, no goatee, no tattoos.
So it's like, so they were comparable as MCs and artists and with star power, but it was easier to immediately feed one than the other to the masses, and it was tipped. And I'm not being funny when I say this, Mike. He was also more fair skinned than Wayne too. It's like literally set up for him to win. He was fair skinned, he had less tattoos, didn't have dreads. He didn't have as much of a history of Wayne had. You know what I mean? Wayne already had a history somewhat too. You know what I'm saying?
I think, yeah.
Like, I mean, how about this? I always kind of envisioned that he was going to be the one sitting on the estate like Ross is. How about that?
Who wins the versus, Ross or Jeezy? Ross, and Ross. It's not even close. Mad Max with the super chat says, Bron not the second greatest player ever. I'm taking Dame or Harden over Kyrie in his prime. Harden, yes. 3 Nets want to book, so the Suns deal is dead. Okay. Oh, he said the Nets won't book. Yeah, he said, yeah.
KD don't want to go. That defeats the point.
Yeah. But I mean, the Nets should want book.
No, the Nets should want to be free. They should want to let freedom ring. I told you, they just had to deal with Kyrie for 3 years. They should be like, you just dealt with Kyrie. Like, you deserve an applause and an award, because the only person that could deal with Kyrie for 3 years and get him to be worth a damn is LeBron James. So you literally need to be one of the 3 greatest players of all time in order to get this man to produce at the level that he's capable of producing. Other than that, it's going to be subpar. See Cleveland without LeBron. See Boston. See Brooklyn. See Duke.
DeCarlo says jail stunted T.I. and Wayne's peak. And you know what? It's fair to say, yes, with Wayne, it did open up the door for, his understudy at the time, Drake. Drake started getting taken serious when Wayne took that Year and a Day. And that was Drake's run. And everything that Drake was saying was, we doing this for my man Wayne. We doing this for Wayne. I'm going to hold it down. That opened up the door. So you're right. LP with the super chat says, let me apologize to the God, Pete Rock. I looked back and didn't see where the samples didn't get cleared. Not trying to throw dirt on the OG's name. No, you're just telling the truth. Everything got cleared. That was more of a De La Soul issue. But yeah, I guess before we get off the topic, I think that when it comes to this dope boy rap, it has to be one of those things that's balanced. Like, you kind of got to give the good with the bad so it doesn't come across to the listener, the young, impressionable listener, that, yeah, this is the way to do this thing. especially people who got options, right? And I think that those are the things that hip hop has to be careful of. You got to tell the whole story, and not just when you partying it up. Real shit is
Okay,
involved.
so that, but I mean, see, but we get into the question of like, okay, so where does the credibility lie? Because it's like, I mean, credibility can be to a fault. I mean, do you know how many people have been like murdered about things like about credibility? It's like they're I mean, let's go to the 80s. I can go to three murder. I mean, not even the 80s, but three murders surrounding 80s inspired legends. Well, Jam Master Jay, Scott LaRock, Paul C. All of those stories have stories that have to do more with the streets than hip hop.
Right.
You feel me? So it's like we need to stop doing so much about credibility. It's like we lost Big and Pac about credibility. It's like that's what I was telling you. It's like what type of credibility you want? How you want your gangster? It's
Well,
like you
okay,
know what I mean?
all right. This is the thing, and I see what you're saying, and you're right. I think that
How you want your gangster served?
once
They ran
again,
up on Big L in Harlem and murdered him over
I
some
think
shit supposedly
somebody,
his brother did. How you want your gangster?
like I said, once Kanye came in the game, I think that whole door or barrier of having to have that kind of story or credibility in the streets, that kind of went away a little bit. But it's like at this point in the game, artists kind of know that they don't really have to have that. Now, you know what? Even if we go back to Nas, right? Nas was gifted enough to be able to tell other people's story and things that he saw, and nobody had any issue with that,
No,
right?
that's not. So when you're saying that, that's not true. Every time he got attacked, it was mostly about his street cred.
Well, from
I
Jay,
remember,
right, nigga, you ain't did it. You witnessed it from your folks' pad, scribbled in your notepad, and created your life.
no, not even that. I remember Cameron ran on 106 in Park one time and literally had the camera directed at him and was like, yo, he's like, stop playing. Like, you not about this life like we are. You feel what I'm saying? He pretty much saying, like, you feel what I'm saying? So it's like, no, they have attacked Nas like that. Cormega attacked Nas about that.
But at the end of the day, what has it done, and does it really
No,
matter?
it hasn't
And
done
I think
anything
that
because
in
he's a
the
better MC than all of them. But it's only because he's a better MC than all of them. When imagine if he is like I'm gonna tell you one of the things that hurt Prodigy was when he got robbed.
again, that can happen to anybody.
It
And see
can, but
again,
he had such a
this whole
Mike,
notion
listen to
that
the bars. Like you can't get stuck when you talking that way. I'm
I feel you,
sorry.
I feel you. And
You
again,
can.
the thing
You
is,
don't get
man,
stuck when you talking that way. And then
no,
Nas
I
is
agree with
popping
that.
up. Nas is popping up on Stillmatic, talking about, Jungle, and us had to get your chain back when you got robbed on the video set for Keep It Thorough.
No,
He
I
got
got you.
robbed on the video set for a record called Keep It Thorough. It's not okay.
I feel what you're saying. I agree.
It's
And
not
see, the
okay
thing,
with shit like that.
the crazy thing is, man, these things don't happen to artists who don't be talking like that. So if you talking big, people
No,
out
that's what
there
I'm
who are
saying.
really
So
doing these things, they're gonna see what it looks like.
so how do we audit the situation? That's what I'm saying. Is it's
Well,
like, well,
what the way we audit the situation is the fan base, and I think we're at that point now. It shouldn't matter to people. You shouldn't have to come with the prerequisite of, yeah, I got this type of resume, yada yada. If you do, cool, and you want to talk about it, great. But artists coming up or rappers coming up shouldn't feel like that's the only way they could be a rapper. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to create some sort of street cred because you feel like that's the only way to be a rapper. And I think that the fan base now is finally at a point where that's not the prerequisite to being a rapper. Nas the GOAT with the super chat says top 5 T.I. albums for me: Trap Music, Urban Legend, King, Paper Trail, and Trouble Man. Where do y'all rank T.I. among the greats? For me, he's 15. He's a 15. I guess top 15. Well, I guess we could start there, right?
I mean, is that where we're transitioning to?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
I'm about to say, do we need to wrap this up with anything? I think we've talked about, like,
Well, Well, I think that's just the way. I think that's where we need to go when it comes to like the fan base has accepted the fact that you know what, if you dope, you dope, and if your music's dope, you're dope. You don't really need
Well,
street credibility.
well, some of it is even with these rappers. It's like I've told people. It's like, well, I've had a lot. I had a run in with a very, very famous rapper one time at the airport while I was at work one time. And I don't even like Fam, to be honest with you. I don't have one song of his downloaded, and he's made some pretty big hits down here. He's made a hit down here that's like literally considered to be a hip hop classic by most. He's from Louisiana. He's from New Orleans. It's the national championship game when Joe Burrow won, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when he threw the touchdown pass to Randy Moss's son?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the play that's about to happen. We're going down the escalator. I just got off work. I'm with my crew. He's with his mans. I know now I'm with one of my homies who's a music producer. I know what type of dude he is. He ain't gonna say nothing. Now this dude done work with everybody in Atlanta, but he ain't about to say nothing. You know who I am, right, Mike? I'm like, bet. And this dude that I'm talking about got street cred. You know what I'm saying? Out the ass. Okay? I'm like, hey fam, what's up? I'm like, I like what you do. I respect your music. The nigga literally looked back at me and did like this. He did, And he turned and put his head back down. I'm watching the national championship on my game. We get on the train, right? Everybody Wi-Fi go down on the train except for who? It's LSU on my screen. Guess who literally pulls up behind me and gets on my back shoulder so he can watch the game and act like he my fucking homie all of a sudden? This nigga got street cred at the house. I just got done watching this nigga act like a straight hoe when I tried to play it like I was a fan just to see how the nigga would behave. You feel what I'm saying? He got street cred. I'm going to tell you what. No, Mike. I'm going to tell you some real shit. That's the type of shit if the nigga would have did that to me and made a move on me like that and then tried to play it cool with me after the fact and we're not on federal property, I just would have busted the nigga ass down right there. And if I see the nigga again, Mike, in the city, because we move in comparable circles, I am going to bust that nigga ass down right there. But we got to start weighing what street cred is because it's like, oh, I know that nigga got street cred out here. I done size that nigga up. I'm going to step on that nigga when I feel like it. I seen him live. That shit that these niggas be talking on record ain't all the way real. And when I mean I can size that nigga up, if you're of comparable size to me and I see you, I look at you like you're food. Ain't nobody even close to my size beat me. This nigga smaller than me too. And he was, Mike, you should have seen the look on his face. My whole crew got quiet when the nigga did the whole, Like he literally did, at me and put his thing up and then tried to roll up on me like, oh, this nigga gonna let me watch the game on my phone because he's a fan. My people step back. They like, he don't know this nigga Coop crazy and might fucking slug him on this fucking train right now. Because my people looking uncomfortable. Like, he don't know this nigga Coop at all. You feel me? These dudes be out here freaking and flogging behind their integrity about street cred that they really don't got. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean is like, how do we audit it? I done been in so many circumstances with so many of these dudes who supposedly got street cred. They the phoniest niggas in the world. All right? They fake as fuck. They'll never pull a real move. I don't even know if half these niggas know how to swing. For real. I'm for real.
Let me get to the super chat real quick.
Because it's not about selling weight or going to jail. It's not.
It's just about being like a real person.
I know the nigga that I was standing next to has pushed weight and been to jail. I know I step on that nigga when I feel like it.
LP with the super chat says, thing is, Nas was really in the streets. The stories are confirmed. He just wasn't a big drug dealer and admits that he wasn't in his music and interviews. Hassan
That's what
Sykes
I'm saying
says,
about auditing it.
Hassan Sykes says, Tribe, Common, Talib, and Mos Def made it cool to be yourself before Ye. Y'all need to stop giving Ye that credit. Listen, I understand that there were people before that, and obviously there was De La Soul before any of that. No. Let me finish, man. There was De La before that, and shit, we could say that there was the Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff, but when we talk about actually running rap and being the MC, the go-to person, no, it was considered to be underground when those guys were doing it. They were outcasted. Now, if you want to give Outkast that sort of mainstream credit for being different, but they even looked at Outkast as a separate thing where they were damn near a rock group by the time that Stankonia came out. But if you want to talk about somebody who was head on, the man in hip hop, from a conscious level, only Kanye was the first to do that. Let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it real. We're not giving him too much
This.
credit.
This
We're
is
just
what I
being
mean. Okay,
honest.
so this is what I mean when I'm talking about credibility. Do you remember like the whole Genius thing that was on Netflix where Kanye is like walking down the
Yeah.
streets of Chicago at night with a camera and his Jesus piece on?
Yeah.
No. I know niggas right now who got street cred that's been dealers before. They won't do that shit in Atlanta. They won't do that shit at home. You feel what I'm saying? Like, how do we audit street cred? Because when I seen that, I was like, yo, that nigga, yay. He's like, no. I'm home. I'm not scared. That's credible. It don't matter what you do. That's what I'm saying. So even when he's talking about, well, Nas was in the streets, but he wasn't a dealer like that. That's what I'm talking about. How
He
to
doesn't
audit
have
it.
to
Because
be
it
a
seems,
dealer.
because it
Like,
seems in hip hop, no, it really does seem in hip hop that it gets audited on the amount of drugs that you sold. That's why I keep saying,
and
well, how
that's
do we audit
sad.
it?
It's sad. It really
That's
is.
what I'm
Like, no
saying. How do
matter
we
what way
audit
you
it?
slice it, that's sad.
Mike, I used to walk Beatty's Ford Road at night religiously in LaSalle and like Southwest Boulevard in Charlotte, like with just me and a knife on me. Does that make me hard? Because that ain't the type of place you walk around at like at night by yourself. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, do I have more street cred now? Because it's like it doesn't feel that way. It just feels like that's my neighborhood. And
Listen, at the end of the
I'm
day,
home.
it's like, okay, what's the payoff here? You say you're credible and you are, and you end up in jail, or somebody tries you. Even if you are credible, anybody could get touched. So why are we making it even that important? Now I get it. The people, and I think we talked about this in the previous segment, people just don't want you to lie to them. That's it. That's all that is. People just don't want you to lie to them. And you're right. It ain't a great look when, you talk real hardcore stuff and you get robbed. It's embarrassing, but anybody could get robbed. Like, if you get caught slipping without one, you just got caught slipping. Or you could go out there and try to be Rambo and, end up a messed up story like the XXX Tentacion situation. They didn't come to kill
Man,
him. They came to rob him. That was it.
I was watching that documentary. That's so sad. He's just a kid from the suburbs. He's just a kid from the suburbs.
Man, Mad Max with the super chat says nobody had issue with Nas doing. I'm sorry, let me put this on screen. I want to get your joint on screen. Nobody had issue with Nas doing that because we know his gift. Nas was more God body type like AZ than the street hustler. LOL. We know Nas is a poet guy. Like Ross used gimmicks that came off as knock it off big, as a knockoff big. Listen, man, this is the thing with Ross too.
Okay, so let's go to.
No, I want to finish this. I want to sound like I'm knocking Ross.
Sure.
I think, why can't we just be like, yo, man, Ross music is dope. It is. It sounds good.
That's where I got
is what it
with
is.
Like I told you, I was one of those people that was hesitant, and that whole thing with the street cred like kind of hurt me. But then I was just like,
it
man,
shouldn't matter.
Like, well, this is music, and he's a really dope MC.
Yeah.
And so I was about to say, so let's go to Jeezy right quick, who I have an affinity for. Like I told you, when I moved back from Cali, I had a dude that I was doing some work with that was like, yo, this Jeezy old hood. I'm like, nigga, like, why do you care? I'm like, you're from Brooklyn. Like, why the fuck do you care? This Jeezy old hood, nigga. You know what I'm saying? But Jeezy affects the street culture like that. Where it's like other dudes that was coming down in Atlanta and hustling, it's like one of the hustle on the blocks that Jeezy had hustled on. And it's like, that's what I mean. It's like, how do I audit that situation? Because here's the thing.
You don't. You know what I mean? Like, we don't.
I was a hustler and an artist when that was going on. I had no idea about how to audit that situation. How did I tell this dude from New York that shit that he just told me is corny? And I'm from the east side of Atlanta and the west side of Charlotte. It's like, yo, like, why do you know Jeezy's corners more than I do, nigga? What kind of corny ass shit is that?
Cool. You got to just let people have it, man. It's all good. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, certain things you just got to let ride. I don't even approach these artists either. Like, the story you told about the artist. It's like, yo, man, you got it. It's your space. Do whatever you're doing. I'm going to do what I'm doing. I'm not going to even put anybody in position to play me out. I wouldn't even, you know what? You know how big of a Michael Jordan fan I am. And I've heard that whole Chameleonaire story, Michael Jordan and all that stuff. It's like, listen, man, you shouldn't put yourself in a space to be played out by Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't. Like, I'd be like,
this
what's
is
up?
What I mean about
Whatever.
how, like, even how that goes, Michael. I've dealt with Michael Jordan a few times. Michael's always fucking cool with me. Sometimes you play yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, how about this? I'll tell you what, like this rapper that I'm talking about, the next time I seen him, right? at my church.
So y'all made
His
up?
baby mama goes to my church.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Baby
then.
mama goes to my church. Mm-hmm.
LP with the super chat says, it's hard to go back to some of the old stuff knowing that they didn't live it. How I let these cats influence me. I'm disappointed in my young self, LOL. But see, it's funny y'all say that.
See, that's what I'm talking about. How do we audit that? Listen to what Fam just said.
I think it's so funny that we say that about the drug dealing rappers, but when I say what I say about Common, y'all sitting here saying I'm hating. These are things that can actually be rectified, straight up. Those are verifiable things.
So when we talk shit about Kendrick and Common, we're some fucking haters, but we get to talk about the dealers however and whenever we want, Mike. You see that?
It's wild, how unfair man. Is that?
And how unfair is that?
And the hypocrisies that they're speaking to be verified.
I'm a hater because I know that Kendrick's a fraud, right? Because I'm well read and I can tell that Kendrick is a fraud. I'm a hater. You feel me? But you let me talk shit about the dealer all day.
And I'm well read when it comes to political issues and things that have been passed and who passed them and when they passed them. And when I call out hypocrisies on people's lyrics and who they support and how they're supporting them, then I'm misinformed.
No, Mike, you are frighteningly well read as a 40-year-old black man on the political discourse. Because I can't front. Like, I checked out when Trump got in office. I was like, no. Call me when you're ready. Crowbar, pistol, matches in the car.
Well, you have to know what's going on.
Whenever you want to burn this bitch down.
You have to know what's going on. Jay Short with the super chat says, Ice Cube got street cred. He wasn't a dealer. Because Ice Cube's just a real dude.
Because he's a real nigga.
That's
right. Because he tells the truth.
Yeah. And people respect the truth. Ice Cube said that back in his 1992 interview.
A bird in hand, Mike. A bird in hand that's real.
Yeah. People respect the truth. And I think, going back, and we'll go to the next segment or subject, people just don't want to be lied to. And that's it. I think that's what it is. But I think when it comes from these glorified street tales, I think it's easier for people to digest it wasn't the truth and they feel a way about that. But when it comes to the conscious community, they can lie to you all day and they can give you inaccurate information all day, but they're going so fast and they sound so well read that no one calls them on it. Because as much as I like, damn, it was a lot of information in there that I thought was inaccurate, but it sounded good. And that's the dangerous stuff. And that's just real.
When you told me how you felt about Damn in terms of the discourse of it, I thought about CeeLo on the nigga experience, where he said, well, you don't want to hear the truth, so I'ma lie to you. Make it sound fly to you.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yo, CeeLo's ahead of the curve, man.
The nigga experience. Yeah. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like Kendrick is capping off of. He's capping off of those bars. He's capping off the nigga experience. Yeah. He's not moving off of information. He's moving off the emotion of the nigga experience. Not the black experience, the nigga experience.
He can make it sound good and make it sound believable because he's very talented.
You don't want to hear the truth, so I'm going to lie to you, make it sound fly to you.
LP
loyalty.
LP with the super chat says they're hypocrites too. I look at it, them fools are worse. Some of these other dudes are just as bad, but at least the message doesn't lead you astray.
Right, like I'm not looking for Pusha T to lead or help any sort of political campaigns.
Yeah.
But I do love the fact that he sent truckloads of bottles of water to Flint, Michigan. Give me that over Common and Kendrick every day. What did Kendrick send to Flint, Michigan?
I don't know. And again, I don't know what people do behind the scenes.
Sent 3 trucks of bottled water, 3 whole freights and trucks of bottled water. Pusha T sent up there. It's a Dope Boy Express, a little special delivery from your favorite dope boy. How did them conscious dudes do? What did Kendrick do?
You feel I don't know, but
Jay-Z contributed money to Flint, another reformed dope boy. You feel what I'm saying? So you got Pusha T and Jay-Z contributing to Flint. What did Common and Kendrick contribute to Flint other than?
Maybe they did. I don't know.
Let me show me.
I'll look for it. Jay Short with the super
Now I
chat
want
says,
receipts, because that's what I'm saying is like, yo, that shit where Nino Brown is giving them turkeys and feeding the hood during Thanksgiving's real too.
yeah,
You
it
feel
is.
me? Like, it's real.
Yeah. Jay Short says, I love Ross not because of his dope talk, because he inspires me to excel in my lane. There's a spirit of preservation in his music. Details don't matter. And you know what? I feel the same way about Jay. And I feel you with the Ross thing. It's kind of motivation music, even if you're not. And I feel like that about Jeezy, too. Even if whatever your lane is, whether you're doing construction, whether you're building your business, it's that motivational music that gets you up in the morning like, yo, I got to get it. Let's get it. And you're not even out here talking about, I'm going to go out here and sell this, that, and third. Whatever you're selling, they're motivating you to do that through the music. And I get that. And Jay Short's completely right. LP with the super chat says, bet you K-Dot's aunt ain't even his uncle. LOL. And on that note, we're switching
Mike,
topics.
give me 2 seconds and switch the topic.